6th, oh my word! Imagine if I won. Wrong way. Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how you can use the Xbox adaptive controller on your Nintendo Switch 2. And it works surprisingly well. So it's not going to work natively, so you're going to have to plug in an adapter to get it to work. And this is the adapter that I'm using here. I bought it from Amazon for just under £25, next day delivery, and I haven't had to do any updates or anything on it. It just works straight out of the box. In the box you get an adapter, and you also get a little USB-C to USB-A little fly lead here. So if you were using this in docked mode, you would have this plugged straight into the dock. I'll show you that later in the video. Right now we're just going to be plugging this in to the Switch itself via this little fly lead. You can plug it in the bottom or the top, and we want to be on the purple mode. So if you have a look here, there is various different modes on here, and this one here is down as Switch Pro. So hopefully you can see it's the third one along. So we have a little button here, and what we're going to do is when we plug it in, we're going to hold down this button, and after you've held it down for about 3 seconds, the LED will flash a different colour, and it will cycle through the different colours. Now before we plug that adapter in, we will need to change a few settings on the Nintendo Switch. So you want to go to System Settings, and you want to go down to where it says Controllers. So Controllers and Accessories, and move down. We need to turn this one on here, Nintendo Switch Pro Controller Wired Communication. So we need to turn that one on. And we need to go to Audio, and we want to turn this one off, where it says mute when headphones are disconnected, because every time we plug in this adapter, it will actually mute the system. We then have to tap the volume here but to get it working again. But if you just do this, it no longer mutes the system. So that's it, just those 2 settings, and we're done. Now, we're going to be plugging this into the top here, or the bottom, but it's much easier to plug it into the top because then you're not fighting against anything. Already now, it's on the correct setting because it was on the correct setting previously. But if I was to hold this down, you will see it will go to a different colour. There you go, different colour there. And then you let go, hold it down again. Different colour. You let go, hold down again. Blue, so R1 should be next. There we go, so that's the purple one there. Right, and then we need to plug this into here. Now, I can't get it to sync up wirelessly, so I'm just using a wired connector here. So we've got our USB-C, which is going to go into that part here, and then we've got the USB-A, which is going to go into here, and it will be mimicking a Pro controller, but a Switch 1 Pro controller. So you can see now, we have the lights here, and check this out. When I go up here now, can you see it is now working? Yeah. Now, this is marked up as B, and this is A. That's not the case. This is actually A, and this is B. But you can swap the A and Bs around, but there's no real need. Just keep that as A. It works just fine like that. And then if we were to go down, you're going to wonder about lag and stuff like that. Well, it works incredibly well. Right, if you have a look, look, you can see it's quick. And then we have plus and minus here. Now you will be able to change the buttons on here if you plug it into your Xbox, because you can actually store different settings on by pressing this button here. So there's different profiles you can have set. But the great thing about this is that you can plug in numerous things at the back. So obviously we haven't got enough to play anything as it is right now. But how about then if you plug in your analog sticks? Now these are not analog sticks, I'm just using Atari copy joysticks for this video here. But we have a little USB port at the side here. So I'm going to plug that in there. This will now be the left analog stick. So for example, if I was to go home by hitting that button, you can see now I'm moving this one. Yeah. Down, up, across. Yeah. And likewise, if I go in here to the right analog stick, this one will be the right analog stick. Now, these are not working as analog, they're just click. But you get the idea. Yeah, you can get proper ones that you can plug in. And look at this. The great thing here is we have a whole range of buttons all at the top here, and they correspond to 3.5mm jacks at the back. So for example, if I wanted let's pick one here, RB to work, yeah, RB. Then all I'd have to do is plug in a 3.5mm jack into RB. Let's just go back to the controller one so you can see what I'm doing. And this becomes a lot of fun now because you can make your own switches. So if I go to here, test input devices. Right, so watch this. This is a 3-pole plug here, but these are only going to be mono in here. So basically, this is a stereo one, but you don't need to plug a stereo in. If you go between this one here and the tip, hopefully you can see it going up on the Nintendo Switch there. Every time I touch that, yeah. And if I was to go on this middle one here, because this will be left and right audio, it should still work. Yeah, see the middle one will work as well because it's mono. So forget that that ring's different than this one. As far as the Xbox here is concerned, this is all one shaft. So it's just one here and the tip is a different one. So you can see how sensitive that is. There's no lag there. That just works. So now that you know you can do that, you can make your own switches. Of course you can buy your switches, but you can have a little bit of fun. For example, you might have one of these. You're now thinking, what on earth? Let's get rid of these for the moment. You're thinking, what is this here? Especially if you're not from the UK, but if you're from the UK and at a certain age, you will recognise this. This is an Amstrad e-mailer phone. How nice is that? But it serves no purpose nowadays. There's nothing really you can do with it. So, how about, well, you could use it as a phone. How about if you repurpose it? And now this is going to become one of our switches. So, let's say if we were to go to LT, so that's left analog stick in. Watch this. ZL, hold on. ZL, did they not all? Oh, of course, because, yeah, sorry, LT on the, what am I on about? LT on the controller is going to be ZL. Right, let's go to left analog stick in. And hopefully you can see now, every time I take the receiver off the hook, you're going to see that, 1 second, let me just do some other buttons here. There, so a load of A's, but now watch. Hopefully you can see there that we now have left analog stick in. And I've got an old broken kettle here. Obviously don't mess around with kettles, but I'm not using the 240 volts here. I've just wired my own 3.5mm jack into this part here. Yeah, so now when I plug this into here, if I was to plug this into the X button. Now I forgot to mention in this video, but it's very important. Xbox controller, Switch controller. Obviously we're plugging in an Xbox device into a Nintendo Switch, so it thinks it's seeing a Switch 1 Pro controller. If you have a look, if I'm going to plug it into the X on the Xbox controller, really that corresponds to Y on the Nintendo Switch controller. So you got to think of how the layout is here and plug it in corresponding. So for example, A here, you need to plug it into B on the Xbox controller. If you want something to be B here, you've got to plug it into A. I hope that makes sense. So right now I'm plugged into X, but it's actually Y on that Pro controller there. you can see, yeah? So you can have a little bit of fun. Now obviously if you were using this for limited mobility, you wouldn't be having this setup here. You would have the proper controllers. But for a YouTube video, it's just perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a TV up here. I'm going to put it in docked mode, and then we're going to play a bit of Mario Kart. Maybe we can use this for our power-ups. Maybe we can use this to drift round corners. So I can take this off to drift round corners. And then I'll use one of these as my left analog stick. Let's see how it goes. Right, so I've got to do L and R, so I need to put these in the correct ones. So we're going to go to right bumper and left bumper. So now to start this, all I should do is take this off the hook and do this. Yes, right, okay. Single player. Now I don't know any of these circuits, so bear with me. But let's go to 100cc. Make it a little bit harder. Actually, I'm going to need 3 hands for this because I've got to do this and the joystick. I'm not sure if this is actually going to work. I didn't think this through very much. I just got excited when I thought about the Amstrad e-mailer. Anyway, you can see it's plugged into the dock just here. Right, here we go. We're off, good start. Right, I want to drift. Didn't drift. Hold on, how'd you drift? Why are you not drifting? Okay, I've got a power up. Is that not going to work? What? Why is that not? Have I got it plugged into the wrong one? Hold on. Oh, that's drift. That's drift. That's power up. Sorry. Right, okay, this is going to work. Look at that. And that's power up. Hold on, let me just finish the drift and I'll do the power up because I haven't got enough hands. Power up. Where am I gone? Oh no. This is working all right. Where am I? 24th? Yes. That's a nice drift. There we go. I'm up here. How do I get off that? That worked out well. "19th, I'm climbing the ranks. I think if I knew the circuit, I think I'd stand half a chance. "6th, oh my word! Imagine if I won. Wrong way. I hope I'm not in the way. I hope my arm's not in the way here. "2nd, I'm in 1st. Oh my word. On the 3rd lap, I'm in 1st. And I haven't done this setup before. Oh no, I've been blue shelled. Come on, come on, come on. Get up, get up, get up. What does a feather do? No, no, come on, come on, go, 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 go. Oh my word. 2nd? I thought I was 1st. What? He must have just won. How amazing is that? I can't believe how good the kettle worked. This, not so much, but that's there just purely for the eye candy. Well, there we have it. I think that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So, yeah, the great thing about this controller, fair play for Microsoft making this, because on something like this, I'm not sure whether they'd ever make the design costs back on it. But the very fact that you can plug your own things into the back here make it a lot of fun. Because then, for example, you can use stuff like this. There we go. I hope you enjoyed the video. I thoroughly did. If you did, give it a thumbs up. See you soon, everyone.